kind of feel like this is meant to be?" Ross doesn't reply. They just kiss one last time before they slowly move away from each other. As Becca continues to look lovingly in Ross's direction, she studies the makeup adoring his face, and she remembers the picture Elm gave her. Reaching into her front pocket, she holds it out to him. "Elm gave me this," Becca says cheerfully. "The woman in the picture has a stone around her neck, and if we find her, we can use that to remove the makeup from your face." The heavy door to their van slides open, and the metallic clunk startles Becca. Sitting at the small seating area inside the dusty old van, Becca is relieved to see it's just Ross, panting and heaving from his run. "Don't be so forceful with it," Becca grumbles. "I'm worried that door is going to fall off." Ross flicks back his bangs with his fingers and gives Becca an exhausted expression. "Should have brought me with you then," Ross replies, wiping the sweat from his brow. "We might have got a better deal on this piece of junk." Becca slowly closes her chunky laptop and leans back as Ross clambers inside and closes the sliding door behind him. "They wouldn't have taken you seriously, Joss," Becca remarks, letting out a long breath, like it's a conversation they've had on repeat. "I'm sorry that's the case, but you look very feminine these days, and you know what car salesmen are like. Your opinion as a woman wouldn't have mattered." Ross looks down at the sports bra and tight leggings that are clinging to his sweaty body, and he sighs. "You don't know that. Your car was in much better condition than this heap. I don't understand why we couldn't have kept camping in the back of that after our money ran out." Becca scratches at her facial hair and looks around at the inside of the messy old van that they've been living out of for the last few months. "I don't think this is so bad," Becca says. "We've everything we need to continue our search." Ross again brushes the bangs from his eyes and gives Becca a sarcastic expression. "Yeah, apart from food, clothes, and somewhere to poo." Becca scrunches her face, but then smiles. "I thought boys liked camping." Ross looks extremely unimpressed, and he scowls in Becca's direction. "Funny that," Ross quips. "I'm a boy when it suits you, huh? Then when it's required, I'm a girl. Make up your mind, 'cause you're starting to give me involuntary gender dysphoria." "Wow, you're grumpy this morning," Becca replies. "Usually your morning run makes you feel better." Sliding off his training shoes, Ross scratches at his exposed, flat stomach and frowns. "There were more of them this morning." Becca's interest quickly peaks. "More? Really?" Unimpressed, Ross nods. "Yeah, it's freaking me out. Like, I don't mind a few cats following me, but their behavior is what concerns me. They hide, Becca. Why do the cats hide from me?" Becca turns in her seat and pulls back the small curtain to look out of the window. She surveys the camping grounds for a moment before turning her attention back to Ross. "It's the same here," Becca replies, whispering so not to be heard. "About 2 days ago, I ran into a black cat who wouldn't stop following me. At first, I thought this cat was just homeless and hungry, but I swear to you, it called me Prince." Ross's mouth drops, and he looks a little frustrated. "And you didn't think to tell me that?" "I didn't want to worry you." Ross gives Becca a look of disbelief. "A cat calling you a prince is something we should talk about, Becca. Might just be the lead we've been looking for." Becca looks away and folds her arms. She might look like a gruff man, but she still acts like a teenage girl from time to time. "Are you kidding me?" she asks with an almost chuckle. "Last week, when we borrowed all those clothes from that washing line, you almost had a nervous breakdown about being caught and going to prison." Ross goes bright red. "Don't bring that up again." Allowing a wide grin to form across her face, Becca looks at Ross and laughs. "What was it you kept saying? Something about getting put on some sort of register?" Ross allows his shoulders to sag, and he stares at the floor. "I'm a guy stealing women's clothing. Imagine I got caught for that. They'd think I'm some sort of... I'll tell you what you are," Becca giggles, interrupting. "You're a big girl's blouse. Stop worrying so much. No one's going to chase us because you've stolen some leggings from a washing line. Ross bites his bottom lip, and Becca is quick to notice he's getting upset. Sit, Becca commands. I'll make you a coffee. We're out of milk, Ross is quick to reply. And I've still got to do my squats. Ah, Becca chuckles, scratching at her beard once again. I didn't know that. She then smiles wider and starts checking out Ross's body. You're really getting into your workouts, huh? Turn around for me so I can see your behind. Twisting his body, Ross presents his backside to Becca, and the tight leggings don't leave much to the imagination. Me working out was your idea, Ross remarks with a hint of embarrassment. Plus, you know it helps me relax. Stunned by just how toned Ross is becoming, Becca touches her own growing stomach. Guess this is what it feels like, Becca comments with a frown. What feels like? Ross asks. No longer being the cute one in our relationship. Ross doesn't know how exactly to take that comment. Should I be offended by that? He asks. No? Becca laughs out loud. Stop thinking so much like a macho boy and more like a girl. You're cute, and that's a compliment. You've been working so hard on your body that I'd even go so far as to say you're hot. Rolling his eyes, Ross reaches into his sports bra and removes his modest but realistic fake chest. Do I still look cute without these on? He asks, giving Becca a teasing grin. Making Ross feel a little uncomfortable with her staring, Becca glares directly at his chest. I think it's strange when you take them off now. It's like something is missing. Ross holds the soft but heavy forms in his hand. Do you want me to put them back on? Ross asks extremely cynically. I'd hate to make you uncomfortable because something on me is missing. Ignoring his attitude, something in Becca's mind clicks. She throws open her old and dusty laptop and waits for it to come back to life. Talking about something missing, Becca squeaks with excitement. Look what I found this morning. Waiting for Becca to stop looking, Ross secretly puts his forearms back into the sports bra before sitting next to her in the seat. As the old screen comes to life, Becca's mobile internet dongle begins to flash with connectivity to the internet. Look, Becca says with excitement, pushing the laptop toward Ross. On the screen is a picture and article about a gentleman from the colonial era. He's got thick black-rimmed glasses and an outfit that's ready for a jungle safari. Who is this? Ross asks, glaring intently at the screen, like he's the only one unable to see the solution to a simple riddle. It's a picture of an exploring historian called Professor Rupert Montgomery Green from the early 1900s. Becca explains. So? Ross replies, turning to give Becca a bemused expression. Don't you remember what Elm said to me all those months ago? You've told me he said all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I mean, honestly, he was clearly a crackpot, and I'm not even sure these other stones exist. Becca frowns at Ross's attitude. You really are grumpy this morning. Clearly not a cat person, huh? Becca scrolls down the page on the laptop to show Ross more. As weird and strange as Old Man Elm was that night, I saw the expression and heard the fear in his voice as he warned me about someone we should avoid, Becca explains. He said we needed to avoid someone called Green. Ross looks at the screen in confusion and then points to the date of birth. You can't be suggesting that this is the person Elm was trying to warn us about? He was born in 1895, Becca. He's long dead by now. Keep reading. Ross looks at the screen and starts reading the caption that Becca is highlighting with a mouse cursor. Rupert Green was considered an expert in his field with tenure at the prestigious Oxford University in England. Ross pauses, pulls an unenthused expression, but continues. Although well respected by his peers, Rupert Green's reputation was dragged through the mud after he published the book Our Hidden Benefactors. Ross looks up from the screen and Becca's enthusiastic grin. Interesting, right? Ross rolls his eyes and shrugs. Sure, babe. Becca's expression becomes sour, and she scrolls down again to highlight more of the article. "Keep reading," she instructs. Many discounted his theories of hidden alien species as wild and unfounded madness from being out in the field for extremely long periods. Ross read aloud. After being shunned by his peers at Oxford University, Green partook in an expedition that he claimed would rewrite human history. Ross looks up and opens his mouth to make a comment, but Becca points at the screen to get him to continue reading. The expedition was to find the mythical lost temple of Ak, an ancient Egyptian temple said to house the gateway for dying souls, guarded by the mythical creatures referred to as Grimalkins. Ross looks up with a silly expression. "Becca," he says plainly, "I'm not traveling to Egypt in the shitty van." Becca pouts and shakes her head. "Concentrate, Joss," she scolds. "Fine," Ross huffs, looking back at the screen. It's unknown if Professor Green discovered the temple. His entire expedition team wasn't seen again after entering a difficult-to-navigate part of the desert. It's believed that the expedition was lost after several life-threatening sandstorms swept the area. Ross reads out, but turns to Becca and gives her a look like he's not interested. Becca smiles and urges him to keep reading. A man asserting to be part of the team that was lost appeared several years later and claimed that Professor Green was mysteriously transported to the realm of souls. Although the man claiming to be part of it knew many details of the expedition itself, he was soon sectioned with suspected delusions and ill mental health. The most disturbing of his claims was that humanity is being farmed for a greater purpose unknown to him. "Thanks for the history lesson," Ross grunts. "Click on Grimalkin," Becca says, pleased at what she's discovered. Ross does as he's told, and as the page loads, his mouth drops. He turns to Becca with wide open eyes. "Cats?" "Yeah," she agrees. "Don't you think it's all too convenient to be a coincidence? Elm talked about a person called Green, and now we're being followed by cats everywhere we go." A moment of silence between them is shattered, causing them to both jump in fright, a scratching sound that can be heard on each side of the van door. Both Becca and Ross stare at each other in fear. As the scratching gets louder, Ross and Becca both let out a girly squeak. "You go see what it is!" Ross shrieks, trying to clamber away from the door to get as far away as possible. "Why me?" Becca screeches, doing the same. "'Cause you're the dude," Ross frantically replies as manhandled by Becca. "I'm the girl now. Remember? It's your job to be the guy. Go find out what that noise is!"